Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. We are back again for session 3 of Entrepreneurship, the Journey. As part of our 6-week intensive, today we are going to be talking about Foundation First. And Foundation First is Teresa's gonna give that presentation, and it's just gonna be amazing because what she's going to really touch on are the foundations that you first have to think about. And then I am going to delve into, after she does hers, into one of the most important aspects of that foundation. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper, and that is the business blueprint or the business plan, because a lot of people don't take the time to do that. But we are going to jump right in. And I'm going to turn it over to my lovely co-host, Theresa Satchell, and she's going to really start bringing you into the Foundation First mindset.
Yay.
Yay.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited about this Foundation First. And then just what you are offering as well afterwards is just all goes together. So this is an important session, not like the session, none of the sessions are important, but this is very important because we're talking about what gives you a good foundation, what you need to have that longevity, what do you need to create that legacy, leave a legacy. So we're going to start that. I'm going to just pull up my screen. We good? You can see my screen?
We are good. We can see you.
Okay. So let me put this on full screen for you. Okay, yes. So Foundation First. Yes, I'm excited. I'm going to go down. First of all, I just want to go over what is a foundation. So these are some definitions that I pulled up when it comes to foundation. So the first one is the lowest load bearing part of a building. The lowest load bearing part of a building. You know, buildings up here, up and down. And then you have the lowest bearing part of the building, typically below ground level. The act of beginning or creating. We're beginning something new. We're beginning a new journey of entrepreneurship. We're creating in our business. We're creating a business. We're starting a business. So the act of beginning or creating is also foundation. The support upon which something rests. I love that. The support upon which something rests. So the foundation is the support, and the building is your business. And so your business it rests on your support, which is your foundation. Another one, the basis or groundwork of anything. The groundwork, yes. This is what we're getting into, the foundation of business, of starting our business. So the groundwork of anything. So I have a little story. You've probably seen it already. The wise and foolish builders. It's a parable, a story in the Bible. And, you know, it's about a wise man who built his house on a rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. And, you know, I just like the little picture over there that has the house all the way on top. It's like nothing can get to it. Nothing can mess with it. Nothing can, if it's a flood, it probably can't get up there because it's too high. But, you know, that's the house on the rock, strong foundation. A foolish man built his house on the sand. Don't that house look nice at the bottom? It looked nice. And it's a nice little beach house. And, you know, a lot of times people have some awesome businesses. It looks like they're doing good. It looks like all glittery on the outside, but the foundation is not good. So when something happens or something comes their way, it may be easier for them to fall, their business to fall, or to something to go wrong in their business, because They got a nice beach house on the sand. Yes, and it looks lovely. It looks better than that house on the rock. But again, the foundation is ugly. The foundation is the groundwork. Like it said in the previous slide, it's the groundwork. It's okay to have it on a rock that's, ugly, instead of that pretty water and that sand for the other house. So the foolish man built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Everything that happened to the house on the rock happened to the house on the sand, and it fell with a great crash. So I just wanted to kind of just share that little story, how it relates to foundation, how your foundation for your business is so vital on this journey of entrepreneurship. Okay, so these are just two principles I want to share with you. How you start your business ultimately sets the foundation for your business. How you start your business, it sets the foundation for your business. How you set up and initially build your business is the second layer of your foundation. And I say that because I believe there's two layers. So you have the layer as to how you started your business. Did you start it the right way? Did you do everything you were supposed to do to start it? Did you pay the right fees? Did you do whatever is necessary to start your business? That's the ultimate foundation. There's a layer above that. How do you set your business up initially? How do you start building it? And we're going to go into that as well. That's the second layer of your foundation. So the first part of your foundation when you're starting your business is a business plan. So we have a formal document that includes very detailed information about the business goals, business goals and the strategies that will be used to obtain the goals and the time frame within which these goals will be achieved. This is not like the end all be all definition. This is just something to get you to familiarize with what typically a business plan is. And we'll go into that more so later on. But I just wanted to set that as the foundation, a business plan, knowing what you need to do. Planning is the foundation for your business. Knowing what you need to do, knowing where you're going, knowing what we talked about, vision clarity in the past session, but just having an idea, planning, writing things down as to where you see your business, what are your goals, what are your strategies, and how long are you allowing yourself to get there. So that's just a general definition. Again, it's not end all be all definition. That we'll go more into that deeper later. So business plan, that is setting your foundation because you're planning. So now we're just going to kind of like, I should have mentioned also foundation first. That actually comes from Kingdom Legacy Partnerships program for those who are starting their business. And we're in North Carolina. So we have people that are starting a business in North Carolina, but we also help those in other states. And so we kind of go through every step of what you should think about when you're starting your business. And so we first had that business plan. And now we just have something that you might want to think about. If you're not an entrepreneur, well, you're an entrepreneur because you have an entrepreneurial mindset right now because you're thinking about getting into business or you already have a business. But if you don't, one thing you may want to think about is reserving your business name. A lot of states allow you to do that. I think that is so important because sometimes you're not ready to start right away. But, you don't want anybody to take your name either. A name is important, especially if it's something you're passionate about and you've been thinking about this name for a while. Sometimes most states will allow you to reserve that business name for a certain amount of days to give you time to actually start the business. So that's something you may want to think about if you haven't already started your business. This is also setting the foundation because, your name is important to know what you're going to be called and know what you can't be called, because then you're going to be scrambling at the last minute trying to figure out, wait a minute, someone already has that name. Oh, goodness, someone already has this name. So, do your research early. And if you can, reserve your name if you haven't already started your business. Another thing, foundation first. We're going over the steps. And actually, we're going over the steps of starting a business. how we teach our clients to start a business. We're just going over most of the steps that you would take and consider when starting that business. So as I talked about the name of your business, reserving the name, I'm talking about the search now for your business name. When you're deciding on a business name, there are various ways you can check to see whether your business name is taken. And you really want to make sure that you're very thorough in doing so, because legal things can happen when you are using someone else's name, depending on what the situation is. So what I like to tell people, no matter what state you're in, most states have a Secretary of State database. Like that's where they go to start their businesses. And if you don't, there's another website that your state has that is for starting your business. And you can actually probably Google that, no matter what state you're in, starting my business in such and such state. And it should give you what state agency in your state, or where to go to start your business, on what website to go to. But you want to go on there, and they usually have a data search, like a name search, where you can search the database to see if your name's taken. So you definitely want to check there. Another place you want to check when searching for your business name is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. That's very important because some people trademark names, or they trademark, logos or whatever the case is, but you want to make sure your name is not trademarked. And so I have their state level versus federal level because there is a difference. So when you check in your state, what if someone has your business name, and you're in the clear, you're fine. Now, if you check in the federal level, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and someone has your name and they're physically using that and it's trademarked, that means that they've purchased rights to this name. Even though that name is not in your state, being used by someone in your state, you can't use it because it's trademarked. And you really don't want to have any legal grounds for that, for them, coming after you for that or anything. Now, if it's not trademarked, you're fine. So you really want to do a thorough search. And a lot of times people get attorneys to do this, but you can also do it yourself as long as you're very thorough and you know where to look. I say check social media too. Checking social media is so important because, everyone's going to have a social media platform, most likely, when you have a business. So you want to see if the name is being used on social media, because then you may have to use something totally different when you get on social media. So it's important to look on social media as well, and see if your name is being used. So you can start figuring out those things because you're planning, you're setting up the foundation of your business. And social media is a big deal, and so what name you're going to use on social media. Google. Google that name and just see what comes up. Just do research on the name. You just want to this is the name of your business. So you want to make sure that you did everything you could to make sure that the business can be, the name can be used by you. Next, when you're starting a business, consider your structure, the structure of your business. The structure of your business. And I just listed just a couple. There's more. There's more. Like what type of business, what structure will your business be? Will it be a limited liability company? Will it be incorporated? Will it be sole proprietorship? And we actually go a little bit more into detail with that. But, those are things that you want to know. What structure should I use? What structure should I choose? And again, an attorney can either help you, or you do your research, or you have like a business consultant. They can assist you with just knowing the advantages and disadvantages of these business structures. But you usually hear LLC, limited liability company, more than others when people are just starting their businesses. But there are other ones, like I said. So you just want to make sure you take the time to research which structure is best for you, because that determines how your business runs. It determines a lot of things in regards to your business. So that's very important. And then with thinking about these structures, things to think about. You have to consider advantages and disadvantages that each business structure provides. And again, a business consultant can tell you these things, or you can speak with an attorney who actually can tell you these things as well. A tax expert can, because each structure varies as it relates to how it affects you legally. You want to know what can happen with your personal and business assets. For example, LLC, limited liability company versus sole proprietor. Sole proprietor, they're personally liable for anything that comes their way. They don't have that protection that maybe an LLC has. So like an LLC, they're personally protected. And your personal assets, your personal things are protected, typically with the LLC. And I think people have to realize that they say, oh, I do an LLC because it protects me. Just remember, it protects you, but it doesn't protect your business. You still have to protect your business somehow. It just protects people from coming after you personally, or if things happen, taking your assets personally. And then sole proprietor is basically, you're open to basically anything. You're open to a lot. And again, we'll talk about that later, but you can get some type of insurance or whatever for your business to help with that. But one goes against your personal assets and the other one doesn't. So there's just some things you want to think about. And again, you can also Google this stuff as well. I didn't want to get too deep into it because it could get confusing trying to go through, each structure, but really do your research. How will it impact your tax situation? You want to know the general requirements for each structure in order to continue operating your business. Each structure may have different requirements. Some of them require different fees. Some of them require you to give yearly reports or biannual reports. It just depends on what state you're in and what structure you chose. But some of them require, fees that are higher than the other. So it just depends on what state you're in and what structure you chose. But you definitely want to think about that. I know in North Carolina, for example, to renew your LLC every year is $200. So that's something you want to consider, just knowing that from your state, women, I'm just starting out. I have to make sure I have $200 the first couple of years. You want to make sure you just know that that's something that you want to have to pay. And that, like I said, that's for state of North Carolina. Every state is different. Some states don't require anything to renew. But again, it depends on your structure. It depends on your state, whether you have to give some type of report or fees. But again, you can also have someone do that for you. So don't get overwhelmed thinking that you have to do everything by yourself. There are business consultants, attorneys, and other people that can do these things so that you can focus on running your business. Next is registering your business. So we're going basically step by step in a sense. Things, like I said, you're thinking about things that you may have to do in order to get this business started the right way. So registering your business, again, we just talked about knowing the fees, if there are fees, knowing where to register and knowing the requirements. Okay, you just started your business. Now you need an EIN. Now, one thing I do want to make sure people do know, because, a lot of people say you have to have an EIN, but actually it just depends on your structure, the structure of your business, like we talked about, LLC, incorporate, depends on your structure, but it also depends on some other things, whether you have to have an EIN, because there are some cases you don't have to have EIN. You go to and that's an employer identification number. Every business has it, whether it's a number that the IRS gave them or their social security number, but you have one or the other. But, on the IRS website, they actually have a little checklist for you. And that checklist will actually, you can answer the questions, yes, no, or whatever, and then it'll let you know whether you have to have an EIN number. And that's just the identification number for your business. So when you file your taxes or something like that, or you have your EIN number, or if you work for someone contracting and they want to know your business identification number for whatever reason, so that they can put on their tax information or something, you will have that number to give to them. But in most cases, it's optional. Some cases you have to have one. And some people get it anyway because, sometimes you don't want to use your social. You don't want people to know your social when you have to do business. So people just go ahead, whether they have to or not, and just get that EIN. And it's free. I have it free. Yes, free. You don't have to pay for an EIN. Here I just kind of go over just some other things that I'll talk about and just that you want to think about when starting a business. Remember, we're setting that foundation. Open a bank account. Very important not to mix your business money with your personal money. So it's important to have a bank account that's specifically for your business. That is, I truly tell people that it's so important to have separate accounts. It helps with, better seeing what's going on in your business, and you're keeping your personal expenses out of it. So open a bank account. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of free options. Make sure you look for free options. I always send clients to places like I know of that provide free checking for small businesses, or they provide no fees, basically no fees or anything. To have an account there. So especially when you're just starting off, I know when I was just starting off, I didn't want anything with fees. I don't need any fees when I didn't make a profit yet. So yeah, opening a bank account, that's something you definitely, that's a part of your foundation. That's something, if you have these things that we're going over, you're thinking about these things, you're setting these things up, you are going in the right direction of setting up awesome foundation, making sure that your business is started the right way, and you have what you need to, to create order in your business. So as you operate your business, you have a great foundation. One thing you want to think about, well, you need business insurance. They say that every business should have business insurance because you never know what could happen. That may be something that you want to look into and look at the different business insurance, especially if you're selling products, certain products, especially insurance, or if you're selling food and stuff, sometimes those instances you have to have insurance, or you just want to be careful. You can call your, you can Google or you can call your insurance and just ask them, do they offer, business insurance, or who they recommend or something, and just ask some questions. But business insurance is something that you really want to consider when running a business. Are your services or products exempt from sales tax? These are things that, like I said, we're going over the checklist. We're going over starting a business. That's what it's about, right? We're here to learn about the journey, but how do you start a business? What do you got to think about? What do you have to consider? And these are some things, just mentioning sales tax, sales tax in your state, you may have to charge sales tax to your customers. The sales tax that we have to pay, when we buy food and stuff. So those sales tax, you might have to charge sales tax depending on what you're selling. For products, usually in every state you sell, you have to charge sales tax. But there's also, depending on the state you're in, services that depend on the service, you may have to charge sales tax to your customer or your client when invoicing them. You may have to charge a certain amount of sales tax, and then you have to find out what sales tax amount it is in your area and stuff like that. The good thing, don't get overwhelmed. The good thing is that a lot of times the platforms that you use will calculate the sales tax for you. So all you have to do is set the number or the amount of sales tax that needs to be charged to each customer, and then the system can actually do that. So that you have platforms that just do that for you, and you do have to send that sales tax in though to your state, unfortunately, which can be a little tedious. But again, there's people out there that can help you, people out there that can do these services for you. But also in the beginning, when you're not really getting clients like that, possibly some people do, but or you're not selling products like that, you'll be able to send these type of things in when necessary, and it wouldn't be overwhelming or anything. And it's actually a simple sheet, depending on your state. So And then, just something else to consider. Some people don't know that depending on your circumstances, you may have to pay estimated taxes every year. That's something you might want to talk to your tax expert about when operating your business, depending on how much you make and just the type of business and stuff. You want to look into whether you have to pay estimated taxes, whether for your state or whether through the federal government, the IRS. May require estimated taxes. Again, that's not everybody, but it's just something considered to make sure that you are not one that may have to, be in that number. You don't want to be in that number. But it's something to think about. So yes, remember early on, I said there's 2 layers. Okay, so the first layer, when that foundation, when you're starting it. We were just going over the starting, when you're starting your business and what it takes to start your business, those things. But now, that second layer is setting up your business. That's still a foundation. You're setting up things, you're putting things in place to make sure your business operates properly, efficiently, and successfully. So you got to think about social media, setting your business up, social media. You got to think about how you're going to be taking payments and what platform you're going to use to take payments. That's important. That's money, how you want to get your money. You got to think about what documents you need to put in place, what documents you need to set up for your business. You got to think about if you're taking in clients, what platform am I going to use to set up appointments or have them set up appointments? What platform is easier? Website. Am I going to have a website? This is setting up your business. This is a part of that foundation, that second layer, setting up your business. Do I need a professional email? Oh goodness, yes, I may need a professional email. How they want to get in contact with me? How people want to email me? Then you have, do I need to get a logo? Do I need a logo? Do I need a slogan? What colors am I going to use? That's actually important. Whether you use a logo or not, that's irrelevant. But I would say colors are important, because how are people going to identify your business? Colors or logo or whatever it is, how are they going to know it's you when you get on social media? And then you need to be consistent with that, because then they know that here come Kingdom Legacy Partnerships. They showing up again, that blue and gold. Like, you need something to identify yourself with. And that could be a logo, your colors, or slogan or something. But that is a part of your foundation. That is setting up, setting your business up, putting things in place. So these are some questions that I put on here that you would ask yourself when setting up your business. Which social media platforms will you be visible on? You may not want to be on all of them. We might want to do one at a time, especially when you're just starting. But which ones will serve you better? That's an important decision to make, because this is how you're going to get a lot of, especially now, a lot of your clients or customers. Which platforms serve you best? Will you have a website? Very important. How will they be able to find you or to be able to go purchase your stuff? There's a lot of different options for websites, whether it's websites that's for products, or website for services, or a website that serve both. Like, there's so many different options. But where will they find you at? That's important in setting up your business. And that's the second layer of that foundation, setting it up. How will your clients get in touch with you? Are you going to have them call you on your cell phone? Or are you going to have a toll-free number? Like, what are you going to have so that your clients can get in touch with you? Email address, again, phone number. We along with these questions with our clients, usually we give a lot of resources, because there's a lot of resources that you can use when you're first just starting out that don't cost that much, or you can save money, at least in the beginning, of entrepreneurship. What forms of payment will you accept? Are you going to accept checks? These are really valid questions that you want to think about when you're setting up your business. Am I going to take checks? Am I going to take Cash App? Be careful with that when you're doing business. A Cash App? Am I going to take Apple Pay? Like, what forms of payment will you accept? You need to know that. And these are kind of sometimes questions that people don't think about. But putting these things in place is very important for the operation of your business. And then we talked about branding. We have a logo. What colors will represent your brand? Are you going to trademark your logo or your name? That's a question you want to think about too. And again, if you're not too familiar with trademarking, you're just purchasing the intellectual rights for your brand, your name, your logo, so no one else can use it. So then, that's what people do, they trademark it. So you want to think about, or am I going to trademark my logo, or I'll just keep my logo and worry about trademarking later or not. If you are a service-based business, what platform will you use for your clients to book appointments? We just mentioned that, there's different Calendly, there's actually other ones too. That's one that comes to my mind now, but there's different platforms if you want to book appointments and set that up where you want to streamline your appointments to make it easy for people to contact you and have a meeting with you. Those are things you want to set up. And setting these things up, again, before you actually try to start getting clients and customers, will set you up for success because it's a part of your foundation. Someone say, hey, I want to book an appointment with you. Oh, here, just go to this link. Or here, here's my website. Like, there has to be some easy way for them to get in contact with you so they can book an appointment and make it easier for you, easier for them, and easier for them to come back. And to tell others, just for people to be able to, meet with you. And then this question is going to lead us into the next segment, which is, do you have the necessary documents in place to operate your business? Do you? That's something you need set up. Again, we're on the setting up part of your business. You're setting up documents that you need in order to operate your business. So we're going to go through a few documents, not too much in detail, but just something that you can think about. You can Google later, you can research later, you can get more detail about later with a professional, or me or Rasheeda, to go more in depth about these things. But do I need an operating agreement? Most LLCs have one, and it outlines the business, financial, and functional decisions, rules, regulations, provisions. So do I need an operating agreement, like how we're going to run and just like the rules and stuff for the business? Do I want to have that? And usually they suggest that you do have one. I suggest you have an operating agreement, how you operate. Do you need a partnerships agreement? Are you going into business with someone else? You definitely want a partnership agreement because y'all need to talk about both of your rights, duties, profits. What happens if the other one doesn't want to be in business anymore? What happens to the business? Like, you want to make sure you write down everything, and a partnerships agreement will do that. So again, you're not going to need all these documents, but these are things you want to think about depending on the type of business that you're starting, and the structure of your business, things that you just want to think about and look into. You might be bylaws, corporations and nonprofits, for-profit corporations, and then nonprofits usually have bylaws, governing rules for their organization, and they have it written down. I know one very important thing you need to have, is contracts. If you are going to be dealing with vendors, or you're going to be dealing with clients, or just working with people that you're contracting for services to help you or something, contracts are going to come into play somehow. So you want to make sure that, if you know that you're going to have contracts, set those contracts up. You can find a lot of these documents on this page on Google. You can find free templates on Google. And you can also find upgrades where it's just a minimal purchase to get a template. And a lot of them, sometimes they'll be specific to your state also. So again, these are just things you want to think about in regards to having important documents in place. Remember, we're setting up our business. Second layer of this foundation. We started the business. We know what it takes to start the business. But how do we set this thing up to make sure that we have the proper foundation? So then last, we have standard operating procedures. And I love standard operating procedures because I'm all about processes and just documenting how to type things. So that's what this that's what the important documents were basically for. Just things you want to think about and do a kind of checklist. Do I need this? Do I need this? This is important. I just put this on here because everything we're talking about, I truly believe you need professional services to be successful. That could be in the form of business coach, a business consultant. It could be in the form of an attorney, tax experts. I believe in using people that know more than you to guide you, to do some things or prepare some things for you. So professional services are very important. And these are just some professionals that you definitely want to look into. Attorneys, they can help with trademarks, business structures, legal issues that need to be, that you might need to be concerned about based on the type of business you operate. A tax expert, they may help you, with the best business structure for you based on your tax situation, or they may be able to tell you how your taxes change, your tax situation change because of your business. Business consultant, they can help you start your business. They can educate you on starting and operating a business. And then also, I don't want to leave out business coaches either, because they help on the journey of entrepreneurship. Don't want to leave them out there. So that, just professional services are very important, very important. One thing I did want to go back to, just to kind of go over, I think that the standard operating procedures, I didn't want to go too deep into it, but I do want to kind of show you just a little bit of examples of what that standard operating procedures are and how it can help you. So the standard operating procedures is a set of step-by-step instructions compiled by an organization to help workers carry out routine operations. So basically, anything that you do on a regular needs to be documented. If you are posting on social media, like, how sometimes people have Mondays is business day, Tuesdays is motivational day, like whatever that is, whatever it looks like in your social media area of your business, whatever you do, it needs to be documented. If you're taking in clients daily or weekly, or that's just a regular norm for, it needs to be documented. How do you take in your clients? How do they usually come to you? How do you make your product if you're product based? How do you make your product? Where do you send your product to? Like basically, standard operating procedures, you're telling people, if someone was to come into your business, say you get an administrative assistant, or say you get a contractor for your social media services. For social media services, they're going to do your posting. They should be able to know what you usually do step by step in each area of your business. Every area of business in which you're operating or you're doing something, or especially if it's routine, if it's something on the norm, it needs to be documented. And then also with standard operating procedures, it's okay to not know everything in the beginning, because your standard operating procedures should change as your business evolves. I know with my standard operating procedures, I usually go over them every so often, maybe yearly or something, just to make sure that how we're operating each area of our business, that it's documented properly step by step. And if there's a process involved, what do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? Again, when someone comes in to contract with your business, or they come in to work for you, or you get an administrative assistant, trust me, having these things out the way, they come in, they're like, okay, what do you want me to do? Social media, when we post, okay, what do you usually do on Mondays, Tuesdays? When you already have, like, this is what we do step by step when it comes to our social media. This is what we do as far as taking in clients. This is how we get appointments set up for clients. This is how we make this product. You have people that's coming in, this is how we make this product. This is how we get these products out to people. So it's step-by-step process, a step-by-step process. What do you do first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Even if it's 4 steps, it need to be there because you need to have these documents in one place where it's organized and labeled as to which area of your business it entails, and the step-by-step process for that. Trust me, setting up in the beginning and then you're just adding as you go on or revising as you go on. It really sets an awesome foundation for your business because even you will be able to know how things are run and make sure that you're sticking to how you operate, what your procedures are for each area of your business. So that's very important. Let me go back here. So I just kind of want to conclude on this in regards to, how do we secure a strong foundation? How do we do that? We just talked about all these things. We talked about the 2 layers. We talked about starting your business. How do you start your business the right way? And I gave you general steps that typically will help you to start your business, things to consider when starting your business, or you must do when starting your business. You definitely want to make sure that when starting your business, you are aware of the requirements, not only federally, but also for your state too, like not just the IRS and stuff, or United States in general, but this, for your state, for your city, and even for your county. We've opened up businesses for people where their county had different requirements, certain requirements. So you definitely want to make sure that you look at the requirements for your state, your city, and your county. And usually on the state website, it'll kind of help you to navigate wherever you go on based on your state. It'll help they'll help you to navigate where to go or who to contact in regards to starting your business. And it maybe ask you which city or which county you live in too. So that's important. Knowing the requirements for not just your city, not just your state, also your county as well, and the IRS and stuff like that. Because everyone sometimes, depending again on your state, you may have different requirements for your county or certain requirements for your county. So, we talked about starting your business. That was what we were talking about. Then we talked about setting up your business. And that was the second layer. And so we secure a strong foundation by planning. We plan. That was a part of the first layer of the business, of creating a strong foundation for your business. Plan. That's where we talked about the business plan. We talked about starting the actual business. But yeah, we plan, definitely. Then start your business the right way, not leaving out one step. Do not leave out any steps. Please don't leave out any steps. We've had clients where steps were left out, taking shortcuts, and then it shows up later. So, or they got fined for something. So, yeah, start your business the right way, and not leaving out one step. One thing I do want to mention when starting your business too, like I said, there's requirements for your state, your city, your county at times. So sometimes they require you to have certain permits for doing certain things, depending on what you're doing. I know one time someone, when, from in a certain state, they were working from home, their business was a home-based business. They needed a permit to work from home and have a home-based business. And it was called a home occupational license or home occupational permit. And that was so that they can work from home and, their home-based business. And so they had to pay a one-time fee for that. So just making sure you have know what permits you need, start your business the right way, know everything that's needed, know the requirements, Seek out professional assistance. We talked about that. We're securing a strong foundation. Seek out professional assistance when starting a business. I think you really need to talk to someone professional that know more than you. Again, don't rush starting your business. I believe we mentioned this in like the first session. Don't rush starting your business. You know, I do say start, when you can. I wouldn't say start when you're ready because you might never be ready. But don't rush starting your business. Research, take your time, and see what you're getting yourself into. Like this journey, like we're going on the journey of entrepreneurship. This is helping you see what entrepreneurship is, and helping you decide whether to start that business, not rush into it, but you're educated, you are equipped, prepared for entrepreneurship. Research, research, research. Yes, I said it 3 times. Research, research, research. You want to research. Research, I can't say that enough. Know what you're getting yourself into, know what you're doing. Know about your business, know about your industry. Research. The more you know. So definitely want that. So again, how do we secure a strong foundation? These are the ways. And then also make sure the proper paperwork is in place and easily accessible in one place. I say that because it's important to be organized. You don't want to be fumbling around looking for stuff, losing stuff. Make sure the proper paperwork, like we talked about, whether it's contracts, operating agreement, standard operating procedures. You want to make sure the proper paperwork is in place and easily accessible in one place. Document how your business operates and what makes it run. That's where we went into the standard operating procedures. What makes it run? How does it operate? And then I talked about it just recently. Don't take shortcuts. That is something to repeat. Don't take shortcuts. It will show up later. Remember that. I hope that's an echo in your head because it's really important not to take shortcuts. We want a strong foundation. In order to have a strong foundation, no shortcuts. In order to have a strong foundation, we need to build on a rock, not sand. So we just want to make sure that you're doing that. A rock, not a sand, not the sand. The sand looked all pretty on the outside. There's a lot of businesses. You know how many businesses out here? I'm sure you're on social media. You see all the businesses. A lot of nice looking businesses looking like they're making money, but we don't know what their foundation looked like. And when COVID hit in 2020, some people's foundations showed itself. And some people had to recalibrate and some people had to maybe change, their business dynamic or whatever, but they may have not suffered as much as a business that didn't have the proper foundation, took shortcuts, didn't seek professional advice or professional help or assistance when starting their business or when setting up their business. So that is all I have for you. Again, make sure that you set your foundation on the rock, not the sand.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. That was so good. Ooh, yes, indeed. A lot of people don't understand how just taking your time with something actually speeds you up. They really don't. They don't understand how going through this process, taking these steps, it sets them up to go fast. Because when you skip and you miss those steps, like you say, you always have to, fix what's been spoiled. You've always got to you get all the way ahead and then you get knocked 50 ways back because you didn't do it right from the onset. So it's like the story of the tortoise and the hare, where, that rabbit was running, thought he was winning a race, but he got into all kind of craziness. The tortoise was slow and methodical, put them blinders on and ran that race the way it was supposed to. And because of that, he won. He excelled. He did what he needed to. That's how you go fast, by taking your time. So I think that just highlighting those foundations the way that you did was so phenomenal and such a good addition to what I'm about to talk about. Because what I am going to talk about is the actual blueprint. Theresa referenced it inside of her presentation, but I'm going to dig deeper because it's something that I believe that not enough people do. They don't strategize. That the way that you build your foundation is you have a blueprint. You have to map it out first. So she talked about the foundation, making sure it's built off of something phenomenal. And guess what? You have to have a blueprint. You have to sketch it out. And that business plan is the blueprint. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. And we are going to talk about, the business blueprint. And I got to tell you, this is, I'm going to read this paragraph, and I want you to read along with me before we get started. Once you decide to go into business, it is natural to feel a sense of urgency to start selling your product or service. Yet the most overlooked step to starting a successful business is creating a blueprint. Your business blueprint provides a roadmap of the future. It is a key tool in discovery, process, and strategic planning. By creating a business blueprint, you are building the narrative of your small business and will be able to clearly share your vision with potential clients, investors, new employees, and suppliers, if applicable. Once you complete your business blueprint, be sure that your key stakeholders review it. That's very important. And if you are your only key stakeholder, then make sure you review it once, twice, 3 times. Because business blueprints are not static. They will change as your business and the business environment changes around you, allowing you to adapt as needed. And the reason why I wanted to take a minute before we start is because this is so important. So many people decide, I'm going to start a business. This is what I'm going to do. We're just going to do it. We'll figure everything out later. And like Theresa said, you end up falling backwards. You end up getting fined. There are different things because you didn't take your time to build out. So today we're going to talk about, why do you need a business plan? Kind of knowing your business model, the business plan format, setting goals, pricing strategies, executive summary, some requirements for success. And actually, I do apologize ahead of time. The lending perspective and franchising, we are not going to touch in this session because I realize that with the audience that we have, we don't have enough franchisers in the audience. So I don't want to give you something that's going to cloud you. I just totally forgot to update my slide. So please bear with me. And the lender's perspective, we're actually going to touch on that in the session that talks about budgeting and finance. That's going to be a great session. So why do we need a business plan? Because a business plan is your roadmap. It's going to outline the things that you need to do in your business. It's going to help you measure, set goals, hit key markers. It's going to be your accountability partner to help you avoid mistakes. It is so, I can't tell you how important that is to be able to have something in writing that is your accountability partner for your guidance. Think about when you write in a journal. You write in your diary, I am never going to do such and such again. and then you end up doing it. And then you go back in your journal and you read your journal or your diary and you're like, you know, I told myself I wasn't going to do this again. And I did it. And you start to realize and remember everything that you wrote down. And you actually start making sure that you put those steps in place so that you really never do it again. It's kind of like a business plan. These are the things I want to do. These are the things I need to do. These are the things that I research. These are the goals that I have. And it helps you if you keep it with you because it's a breathable document. So it's alive and it speaks to you every time you read it and every time you write in it and every time you think of something as it pertains to your business. And that's how it helps you to avoid mistakes. It's also a potential source of money because a lot of times investors will say, hey, excuse me, I have this document that I need you, you know, you want to invest, let me see your business plan. Everything that I'm going to go over today can be, once it's all filled out and once you have it done, can turn into what people call an investor's deck. And that's why it is so important to fill this out, because it outlines certain things that investors may want to do when they want to fund your business. So, know your business model. There are 6 key questions that you want to kind of have in mind. Your strategic questions are, who is your customer? Product or service you're selling? Why are you better? And how are you going to reach your customer? 2 financial questions. How will you survive your first year? And how will you make money? Keep these questions in your head as we go through this presentation, because these are the things that are very key to understanding the type of model of business you're going to have and what you want to do. Who is your customer? It's a lot of things to consider. Geography, the customer persona, backgrounds, who buys what, you know, wholesale, distributor, retail, buying on behalf of another, if it's a service model. And even for services, like Theresa and I provide a service, but we have a customer base. Who is our ideal customer? People who want to start businesses or people who have businesses and need to restructure their businesses. Or people who started a business and realized they didn't know what they were doing. So they need someone like Theresa or I to help them backtrack and make sure that we do everything the right way moving forward. We have our geography. We know where we want to work, who we want to work with, how we can work, all those things. So those things are really key. You know, we know who is going to buy our product. We've done the research and buying on behalf of someone else. We get a lot of referrals and people who will say, I want to gift somebody your services. There's a lot of different ways. You got to know who your customer is and who your potential customer base is. You got to know what product or service you're selling. What are the key features, the benefits, functions, needs? What are you trying to solve? What's the cost of it? What's your unit of sale if it's an actual product? And even for a service, you have to know your unit of sale. You have to know how much you're going to charge. You have to know what that looks like. You have to know your cost. You have to research suppliers and vendors. There's so many different things that goes into whether you have a product base or a service base, but these still all apply. So there's no reason to not think, well, that doesn't apply to me. It actually does, no matter what. Why are you better? Why are you better? You know, what is somebody else doing? What is your competition doing? What do they look like? Have you been on their websites? Have you seen? Why are you better? You know, why is your service better? What are you doing? What does all of that look like? You always want to be your only competition, but you also have to be realistic in the fact that there are other people out here doing what you do, but you want to do it the best that you can do it so that it always stands above a cut above what everybody else is doing. And this is part of your branding, part of your marketing. These all go into play. And I'm going to show you how. How will you reach your customer? You know, it's so funny that Theresa, not funny, but because we designed it this way, so it's not funny. It's just serendipitous that she talked about how you're, you know, she touched on communication. How do you plan to communicate and develop your business? What are your goals? What are you looking to establish? How are you gonna set the best time to communicate? A lot of times it's on social media. So you think about your content, your style, your branding, what communication tools? Is it gonna be a website? Is it gonna be purely social media? Are you gonna have a listserv? Are you gonna have a newsletter? You know, and how do you plan to achieve these objectives? A lot of times people don't take the time to, they just say, yeah, I'm gonna have IG, LinkedIn, and you know, Instagram and Facebook. But how are you, what is your plan to achieve? How many posts go out each day and the things that you need to do to make sure your content is good? What's the amount of time? Are you going to hire somebody to do it? Are you going to do it yourself initially? You're going to call on, you know, do you have a niece or a nephew or a daughter or a son who's definitely old enough that can say, hey, I got you on the social media, because they can do it better than most. You have to think about all of these things and then put it down in writing. Begin to plan that out and what that looks like on how you're going to achieve these objectives, because the key thing is consistency. So you think about market analysis, key first step. Talk to your customers. What do they want from you? Have you researched the industry that you're going into? Have you read? Have you networked? Have you been to events or put yourself in situations that have and or with somebody else who's doing the same thing as you're doing? Have you put yourself out there to see and to kind of test the waters? If it is receptive, what does that look like? And then you have to look at the bigger picture, the environment, the economy, what's happening in the world. You know, can you get your, you know, what's the supply chain looking like? And I bring those up because that's currently happening now. There's a lot of businesses out here that they're suffering because they didn't properly plan for supply chain shortages. They didn't have enough of their product in stock to be able to create whatever product and or service that they offer. And they didn't think about these things. And now they're stuck to the whim of the world. So as we are living in a pandemic society, and we're living in a society where the economy is not thriving the way that we need it to, pre-pandemic times, you want to think about, what does starting a business at this time look like? What is the general marketplace? What are people into? And even though some people are still strapped for cash, looking for work, there are certain things that they're still going to buy and purchase and look for a service for. So if you have something that fits that, you have to look at how that fits into every single change in climate that happens in the world. You can kind of forecast based off of what's happening now. And that will actually allow you to kind of write and build your blueprint out a little bit. Communication tools. Again, we touch on this, we touch on this, we touch on this. It is very important. Are you gonna be traditional? Paid advertising, media, public relations, you know, like I said, are you gonna be printing flyers? Old school, we used to print flyers and hand them out in stores and stand on the street corners and advertise in our business. Empowering greatness, empowering greatness. Could you imagine if we did that now? Word of mouth and networking. I will tell you, out of everything on this list, paid advertising, media and other, word of mouth and networking are probably your best two traditional sources. And paid advertising as a traditional source actually lends over into the digital world of the internet, websites, blogs, Facebook, and social media, because paid advertising on social networks actually gives your post a boost and it helps it to reach a further market in your friends list. And it allows your business to be seen. It allows it to be sponsored so that they know, okay, this is a real legit business. You pay your advertising dollars and you get exposure, repeated exposure. Of course, the more your advertising budget is, the more you can invest in it, but it does help. It really does help. There are algorithms that they have that they use specifically for paid advertising in the digital world. Emails, e-letters, e-commerce. Remember, are you gonna have a listserv? That's what I call it. Database marketing. Are you collecting emails? Are you doing, just a quick blast? I don't know how many emails I get. I don't even understand how I got them or when I subscribe, but I actually find some really interesting things in my email. And I'm like, oh, I need to look into that. And you will be surprised at how effective email marketing still is. Email newsletters, the works. And good old-fashioned customer service. You just need to be a nice person. You need to talk to people. You need to say and listen to people. These are all great communication tools, but you have to document how you're going to do it. These are things that all go into the blueprint. Never out of date. I cannot stress that enough. How you look, your style, your atmosphere, everything that you do, whether it's management, whether it's another customer, whether it's another business, you're building relationships. Customer service is akin to networking. It is traditional, but it also has to stand out alone by itself, because if you ever frequented a coffee shop, a mom and pop coffee shop versus a Starbucks, and while the mom and pop coffee shop may not have as many items as a Starbucks, but their coffee is good and their service is impeccable. You get a smile every time you walk in, never an attitude. They know your name, they know your favorite drink, and sometimes they throw you a little extra muffin or something on the side. They ask about your dog, they ask about your kids, they ask about your spouse or your significant other. And the reason why that mom and pop is still lasting, even though they've got a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts around the corner, is because of their customer service. So you want to think about that as you're building these relationships and as you're building your business out. How you want to write down, how will I look? What is my ideal customer service presentation going to look like, so that I can always sell my product and or service? That is going to be something that is key that you have to pay attention to. So here goes some preliminary considerations. Are you going to talk to your customers? How are you going to build your business model? Are you going to develop product prototypes, test for viability? Does this work? Who buy it? How much time do I need before I launch? And what do my finances look like? Do I have all the resources and temperament to make this happen? And I put that in there because a lot of times people say, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. They may have all the resources, but when it comes down to really laying the foundation, brick by brick by brick, things that you have to consider to make sure that everything is in alignment, they realize that they don't have the temperament. You have to be methodical about what you do. You have to cross your T's and you have to dot your I's. It is not a race to the finish line. It is a journey, and there's so much that you learn, not only about yourself, but about your ability to be able to do this business. You learn about your business along the journey by taking the time to do these steps. and make it happen. We're going to go into the business blueprint. I set up a business blueprint for you guys that I use with all my clients, and I thought it would be perfect. And we're going to go over some of the things that we spoke about, and I'm going to go through each section, and I'm going to explain why it's there and what it means to the foundation of your business. So section 1 is the business profile. You have a description of your business. This is where you describe your product or service. You tell yourself, you tell this piece of paper, you type it in, you write it down. What is my service? My product is homegrown mushrooms. Describe it. Homegrown organic mushrooms. You figure out, it could be 1 sentence, 2 sentences, no more than a paragraph. Your targeted market and customers. So we talked about that. So this is where you want to describe your customer profile and why customers want or need your product or service. You want to pay attention to your market. And you need to know what your market is going to be. And this may change over time as your business grows, as your product and service grows and develop, but you still want to have that initial base on who is going to be that initial, what is that initial customer profile that we are going to market to, that we're going to address. You know, is it the young people in the clubs of Miami? Is it the older people in cigar clubs? I don't know. I'm just coming off with things on the top of my head. Is it the consummate traveler, the world traveler who needs, travel services? And is it the business that needs some level of new and improved employee benefit that I'm getting ready to offer? You have to figure out what that customer profile looks like and what it is that you want to do. Growth trends in this business, whatever your business is. Ask this question: is the market for your product or service growing or shrinking? Because if it is growing, then there's enough stake in it for you to take advantage. If it is shrinking, then you need to figure out a way to have your product and or service stand out so much that it will not be affected by the fact that people are not really wanting your product or service. And then you need to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because that's another thing that the business blueprint does. It actually helps you to assess your business idea and if it is viable. Your pricing power. This is where you figure out your profitability. You think about ways and qualities and different circumstances that will enable you to maintain profitability in your pricing, because you don't want to under budget. You don't want to not charge enough for your business or your service, for your product that you're creating. So you ask yourself, what do I need to do to enable to maintain profitability? What is my pricing power? What does that look like? You can put numbers in this section. You can do so many things in this section, but you really want to start looking at that. And the reason why I have that in the very beginning is because people will create a whole business and not realize that that business needs to make money. They will create a whole product and forget that they have to have pricing power in order to sustain the reproduction of these items. Milestones. This is where you begin to list your accomplishments that you want. This is your goals. What do I want to do? How am I going to do it? What are the key things, that I got going on? How am I going to do it? So set your milestones and 1 year, I want to accomplish this. In 2 years, I would like to accomplish this. In 3 years, I have a vision for this. In 4 years, I have a vision for this. Then you need to list evidence that your business is getting there. So what would that look like? So if I sell 8,000 bars of soap in my first year, that should yield me XYZ amount of money. So I know that if I've accomplished at least, my goal is 8, but if I've accomplished at least half of that, then I am making traction toward that goal, even if I don't hit that goal. Because I know that it's moving. Key metrics, explain, that's where the performance, that's how you begin to understand how your business is doing. So the milestones is where you list it. The key metrics is where you actually fine tune it. Because it's like, okay, in my first year, I had a milestone goal of 8,000. And I actually sold 5,756 of my product. And this particular product did really well. That's success. And if you read the last sentences, it says, what does success mean for you and how will you know it when you see it? And the reason why is because a lot of times in business, we tend to look at other people's success and claim it as our own. And we can't do that. They have their own measures of success. They have their own key metrics of what is important to them and what that looks like based off of their goals, their milestones, and what they're trying to do. So it's very important that you put down what that means for you. For you. I know what success means for me. And I function within that. So I know if I hit a mark, I've hit a success marker. I've hit another mark, that's another metric. I've hit another success marker because I have my success goals clearly defined and I know what it means for me. And if I exceed that, woohoo, I am excited. But I have that in place and it is not based off of anybody else's business. It's not based off of anybody else's wealth. It is not based off of anybody else's anything. It is based off of what I got in front of me. The only time I worry about somebody else is when it comes to my profits. And even then, I don't consider that a loss or a deficit. I figure out what they're doing and I network with them and I research, even if they don't want to talk to me to the best of my ability, because they have a best practice that's working for them. So my goal then is to see what their best practice is and see if it is applicable to my frame of work. And if it's something that I can add to and build upon. That's what businesses do. That's how they manage competition. But they still have their own measure of success and what those metrics are for their particular business. And then we're going to go to the mission and the vision. We talked about vision clarity. We talked about mindset, our first session. And the vision, just let me break this down for you really quickly. The vision is what you see. Theresa touched on this. The vision is what you see, what you want to achieve, the long term. The mission is what you're going to do and what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. That's how I describe it. And not just what you're willing to do, joyfully, convincingly. Look at the verbs that I put in there, the action words. Because if you're not passionate about what you want to see for your business, I don't care if it is hobby-based. You still have to have a joy for what it is that you're doing. I don't care if you have one product and it is that one product till eternity. you have to joyfully and convincingly have an image of what you want to achieve with that one product. For the success of your company, that's your vision. And that mission, you have to convincingly within you, the conviction is within you of what you're willing to do and what you know you need to do to make that a reality. I am determined to sell shoelaces to everyone. And this is how I am going to do it. So my vision is to spread shoelace joy through the whole world. And my mission is to do it because, and this is how I'm going to do it. Vision is what you see. The mission is the action on how you're going to manifest the vision. So you got to really think about, what do you want? You know, what do you see for the success of your company? And then you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do to make it real? And at the end, I put, and have the realism to make inevitable hard choices. Because while we focus on the journey, and Theresa and I are very excited by what it is that we present every Wednesday since we started this, and in our businesses and the people that we've helped, we understand that certain people need to make very hard choices around their ability to be an entrepreneur, to really go along this journey and to stick with it. Section 3, home-based business. The reason why I throw this in here is because we live in a day and age where brick and mortar is not needed for every business. But you need to figure out, is a home-based business right for you? Or do you need a brick and mortar? Or do you need a co-working space? Or do you need a warehouse or a kitchen to work out of, depending on your business model and what it is that you're doing? You have to think about the characteristics of working at home. What are the benefits? You know, is your business a good for working at home? If you work at home, can you still get business insurance that limits your liability from working in your home? Where are you going to get it? Are there any legal restrictions? Because while everybody says, oh, I'll just do my business out of my home, certain businesses, there are legal restrictions to using your home for a business. There's special zoning and different kind of restrictions that you have to abide by. So you always want to research the type of business that you have and ask yourself, is it good? Is it legal? Are there any restrictions to running this business from my home? Because if there are, and you still start that business from your home, these are the things that Theresa talked about earlier when she said people get fined, or they lose their licensing or certain certifications because they did not apply the legal doctrine to their business. They just did what they wanted to do. And then ask about the government's rules on self-employment and how would that impact you in your business. And a lot of times that actually comes from your accountant. You would talk to them because they understand the rules that the Fed Gov and the state local govs have on self-employment and what that looks like. Because 9 times out of 10, if you don't have a 9 to 5 and you're solely doing this business, it is going to have some level of impact. You want to make sure that you're in alignment with what that is for you. And it could be good, or it's never good or bad. It could be positive or negative. But even if it's negative, it's something that can be fixed. You just have to know so that you can work around it. And then if you decide that it is right for you, you have to describe your home-based business online presence. Will you have a website or a web store? How are you going to create it? Do you plan to use social media to market your business? What platforms? And what is your budget for this marketing effort? This is where you begin to document those things that Theresa and I spoke about earlier in my presentation and in hers. And a lot of times we don't think we need to pay attention to that, but we do. And again, even if you do not directly manage this section of your business, whoever you get needs to know exactly what it is that you want to do. So this is where you describe that online presence. This is where you describe how you're going to do the things that you need to do. Something that a lot of blueprints do not talk about, and that is maintaining a work-life balance. Because when people start a business, they're usually still working. And they have this idea. They have families, they have responsibilities. They're not just sitting on the side of the road and say, hey, I think I'll start this business. And then, you know, a wad of money falls into their lap and it's like, oh, I think this is something we can do. Remember the Eddie Murphy movie, Trading Places and all that stupidness? No, life doesn't happen like that. So what is that work-life balance? How are you going to maintain that, especially working from home? How many hours a week are you going to commit to your business? You know, are you going to be have established work hours dedicated just for the business? Will you set weekly and monthly goals for what it is that you need to do, not only with your business, but with your personal? Because there has to be a balance. Because remember, we said being an entrepreneur is a 24/7, 365 full-time job, but it requires balance so that you have time to do the things that are as equally as important as starting this business. This is why entrepreneurship is not something that should be rushed, because you want to set yourself up the right way where you do not burn out. Section 4, we talk about the actual organization. Like she said, you use this, Theresa said, what's your structure? So here is where you specify your structure. What is the business organization? So this is where you write, I formed an LLC because I chose the S Corp tax designation for my corporation and or for my LLC or my partnership because. You want to explain why that is best for your business. Then you want to list the people. Who are the owners? Who are the members? Who are the management? You know, you want to describe each person's skill and experience, what they will be doing for the company. And if you don't have it, it's okay. But eventually you're going to have to fill this in. Then you want to put in work experience related to your intended business. What is your experience in the business that you plan to start? What skills and knowledge do you have that will be required for your business? Then you want to add personal background and education credentials about yourself and your team, if you have a team. And the first sections of this section 4, this is the beginning of your bio. Every professional needs a bio, not a workplace bio. I've worked here and I've done this. This is specific to your business. This highlights who you are and shows that you are an expert at what it is that you do or what it is that you're going to be doing. And the reason why I break it down like this, as opposed to just saying, write a 2-paragraph bio and post your picture, is because it takes the different sections and it allows you to pay attention and highlight it. so that when you do have to craft a bio, there's certain bios need certain information. You can literally come here and you can take out what you need for your bio, depending on what realm you need it in. Professional consultants. Theresa talked about it. I added in the blueprint. List them, their names. Who are they? Who is your lawyer? Who is your accountant? Who is your insurance agent? Any other professionals? Who is your business coach? Who's your consultant? Who's your marketing, your marketing rep? Who's handling all your PR? You list them here. You put their first name, you put their last name, and you put their contact information. Because your blueprint is also a way where you keep everything that pertains to the business in one place. So you're not looking all over the place for information. You put it right here. This is your organization. If it is only you, then this section will highlight you. If it's you and a partner, this section will highlight you and the partner. And it will also all your professional consultants, because that all needs to be in one place. 5, licenses and permits. If your business needs this, and I put this because a lot of times people don't know what they need and what they don't need. They think they can just start, they don't realize. If you're a construction company, if you're into real estate, if you do demolition, there's certain licenses that you have. If you start a company that's ABC company doing business as XYZ, a DBA, you need to list that here. Because you can have a holding co, ABC Holding, and you can then do business as XYZ Holding 1, XYZ Holding 2, so forth and so on underneath that particular company. So if that is the case, you would add that here. If it's not, you leave it blank. Limitations on use of personal property in your area. Because certain businesses have zoning laws and you can't use your personal property, which means that you would have to get a license in order to do so, or a permit. Think about when the construction crew comes to do work on your house. They have to get certain licensing and permits because of the zoning laws and what is allowed and not allowed, just to be able to rehab your home. And you have businesses other than those that do that. It's a long list of them. Federal and local licensing, permits, certifications needed to do business in your area. So we're talking about seller's permits. In your state, are you required to have a permit to sell a product or service? Safety certifications, depending on if you're a bakery, you have to have certain safety certifications. You also have to have certain permits, certain licenses, and other certifications that say that you're certified to bake. This is also where you would document your EIN number and anything else that you need to have listed. Again, we talked about trademark, copyright, patents. You may invent the next latest and greatest computer mouse, and you want to patent that. So if you have any patents, you have any trademarks, you have any copyrights, any intellectual property protection, you list it here, because you need to have everything that you have or that you want to get for your business listed. So even if you don't have it, but you thinking about getting it, list it here. So that as you continue to go back, you can go, you know what, I never did this. It's time for me to look at this. Business insurance, general business liability, product insurance, errors and omissions insurance. There are so many different fire insurance, home insurance, business, liability insurance that has to deal not only with the service or product that you produce, but the actual physical location. There are so many different business insurance policies, depending on the business. I always suggest if you speak, if you teach, if you mentor, you get errors and omission insurance. I also think you should also get a general business liability insurance for at least $1 million. And it doesn't cost as much as most people think, but you want to be insured. Because if somebody sues me and says, hey, you gave me wrong information. Well, first of all, I record all my sessions. So you would have to prove that I actually gave you wrong information. Secondly, I also have errors and omission insurance because I cannot expect it to be 100% right 100% of the time. Even the best of the best of the best, every now and then makes a small mistake. And that is okay. But you want to protect yourself because it's just like somebody who got bumped by the car who faked and fell down. And now all of a sudden they're in a neck brace and a knee brace and a back brace and they can't move. These things happen. So you want to protect your business. Communication tools. We talked about that. We talked about that. So this is where you would provide a list of how you're going to communicate with your client, with your customer, with your employees. If you have professional staff and support, how are you going to evaluate which are the best communication tools that you have? How are you going to estimate the equipment that you need? Because if you're communicating through the internet, you need a computer. That's a communication tool. You need the internet and Wi-Fi. That is a communication tool. You need a cellular device. That is a communication tool. Are you going to have a business phone? Is it going to be a landline? Do they even still make landline phones? I have no idea. But these are all of the things that you need to begin to now outline. Are you going to be podcasting? If you are, now what's the communication tool? You're going to need a mic. You're going to need a ring light. You're going to need, maybe a mixer board or any different kind of podcast equipment. All of these fall underneath communication tools. How are you going to communicate to your customer base, period, to your networking base, to your B2B base? People don't think, oh, wow, I got to write that down. Yes, because these all incur a cost to you at some point or another. Because if you are using your cell phone, your personal cell phone as a communication tool for your business, then you need to speak to your accountant because part of that cell phone bill needs to go on your taxes as an expense. Again, when you're thinking about building out your business, it's not just what you do, but it's also the cost to you. And being able to outline these things like this actually helps to mitigate how much money you have to pay, what you can receive back in taxes, what you can write off as you begin to go through this whole process. What if you decide, I don't want to be a home-based business and I want to change a location? Or what if you decide, I have a location, but this is not a good location. I need to change to a different location for my business. Or I live in New York, but I'm moving to New Jersey. Would this still be a good place for my business? So this really has to do with understanding when you choose a location for your business. More specifically, brick and mortar, because if you're going to have an actual storefront of some sort, there are certain criteria that you should be looking at to make sure. I have an appendix at the end of the presentation that we will touch on it a little bit more. Section 9, accounting and cash flow. Woohoo! Money, 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 money. And this is the section that most people gloss over. And this is probably the section that you need to pay attention to the most. And the reason why it is not first is because you need to build out your business first. Build out that blueprint, and then we can start strategizing. Are we going to have any kind of startup capital, government assistance, loans? What am I applying for? What am I eligible for? Cash flow projections. I project to be able to make this much by this time based off of this. I'm going to get a $50,000 loan, which is going to allow me to move the business forward by this much in my first 2 years. And I'll be able to generate this much cash flow. Again, these are projections. We don't know, but you can guesstimate. And when you do that, you're actually setting intention on what it is that you want to do. And when you put a number to it, it allows you to see how much you have to sell, which energizes you to say, I have to stay focused and consistent with how I'm now advertising and how I'm communicating with my target audience to have them interested in my product or service. Accounting. Start your balance sheet for your first 6 months to a year. Just, start. I spent this much. This is what's happening. Cash flow planning, cost analysis, internal controls. If you do not know anything about finance, about counting, about any of this, get a reputable, trusted bookkeeper or accountant and have them sit down with you and explain these things to you and why it is important. And the reason why I'm telling you to do that is because if you don't know any of this, not even the basics, then what will happen is you will hire someone and they know you don't know anything. And they'll have you all screwed up because you'll be relying on them to say certain things and to do certain things and to help you. So you need to be able to know what's coming in and what's going out. You need to be able to know what you're planning for and what that looks like. That is very key and it's so very important. E-commerce. How do you plan to use the internet? Yes, we talked about communication tools, but more specifically, e-commerce. That is when you sell your product or service on the internet. Theresa and I have a website. You can book services on our website. You can book appointments on our website. You can also do that through social media. You're still using the internet. So how much is it going to cost you to create, operate, and maintain your e-commerce activities? How much is your website going to cost you? How much is the hosting fee going to cost you? How much is your domain name going to cost you? Do you have to pay for a business email, or are you just going to use Gmail? Are you going to have a storefront or just a landing page for information for your website? Then you want to look at other websites. I'm going to tell you, you can't just slap something up there. You have to really describe the people within your market and how they're advertising. And remember what I said, it's not about, oh, they're better than me. It's like, no, they are doing the damn thing. So what are they doing? And how can I strategize to improve upon their best practices and make that work for me? That's your competition. That's it. Oh, they got that? Kudos. I'm going to sit at your feet. That's how the best of the best of the best learn. It's not like they invented something oh so brand new. Some people did. But a lot of times people just took what was already there and improved upon it so much so that it became their own. Think about it. Opening and marketing. Woohoo! We're getting close. How are you going to market? And you have to look at how you plan to get and retain your customers. Is it going to be strictly word of mouth? Are you going to networking events? Are you going to trade events? Are you doing pop-up shops? What do you do after you make your first sale? What is your follow-up? What does that look like? So that you can retain customers, so that they're always a repeat customer. Or that they're always referring you to others who refer you to others who refer you to others, because that's also how you retain customers. Are you providing loyalty perks? If you buy 7 bars of soap consistently on my subscription plan, you'll get 8th bar free along with a quarterly gift basket, or a special present on your birthday, free of charge. I know that may sound crazy, but I'm just coming up with stuff off the top of my head. But this is your marketing plan. This is the things that you're going to say: 25% discount, promotions, advertising. And then you have to start, your purchasing and inventory control. Here, you have to. How are you buying the products that you need to create your product and a service? How much lye do you need? How much food coloring do you need? How much scents and essential oils do you need? This is your inventory. How much shea butter do you need? Start creating an inventory. Start writing down what it takes, how much it takes, and pricing that out. Because these are all things that go into your ability to open and market properly. If you do not have enough inventory, you should not be opening, because if your product really hits it off like wildfire, then you need to be able to produce to meet that demand. This is why it's so important for you to understand what you need to purchase and begin to control your inventory early. Because even if you don't make it, you want to have enough product in place and be able to get it easily, so that when the demand comes, you're able to meet it. Are you going to have employees? Are you going to have training policies and hiring and sales associates? Who knows? Interns. Some people actually do this on a very big scale for their businesses, and they have to think about these things, because as you pull people on to help you, even if something as simple as an intern, you're pulling these people on to help you do what you do, to free you up to do more, to grow your business. Then they need to be trained to do it like you do it. Goes back to Theresa and what she said about your standard operating procedures, documenting what you do and how you do it, so that if you need to have someone come in, that you can train them based off of that document. I always say competition. Describe your strongest competitors and how you intend to compete. On my section, it says that I am my strongest competitor. And I have a whole list of things that I do to compete against myself to be better. I do look at people in the industry. I do look at best practices, but I don't see them as competition. I see them as collaborators, because I have something that another person doesn't, and they have something that I don't. And 9 times out of 10, if you come together with these people, you can leverage for a win-win for both. And that's what's really key and really critical. This is why I harp on paying attention to your competition, because your competition really is not competition. They are collaborators. but you got to pay attention to them because they're doing something right. And you may be able to glean one or two things from them that you can now add to yours, and vice versa. But either way, competition is good because you learn from it. You learn to be better within yourself and to do better within yourself and your product. How do you plan to take advantage of competitors' weak points? Guess what? Everybody's got a weak point. There are certain things that I don't do. How would somebody capitalize and take advantage of my weak point? They would do exactly what I don't do, and they will do it very well. And it will cause people to say, you know what? Well, you don't really offer this, so I'm going to go over here because this person offers this. And they're offering it for a reasonable price. And while I may not be able to get the quality that I get over here, they're still giving me maybe 60% of what you give me in addition to this new shiny thing that they added. How do you plan to take advantage of those weaknesses and those weak points? That's business. I don't care how small your business is. That's business. Managing employees. While I went back and forth about if I was going to leave this slide in, I decided to keep it here and talk about it just a little bit. Certain businesses will be single-membered. And then there is going to become a time where you may decide, I want to grow. And if you decide you want to grow, then you have to pay. I am so sorry about that yawn. It's been a long day. You have to figure out how to pay your employee. So who's going to be your payroll service provider? You've got all kinds of companies. ADP is not your only one anymore. You got Gusto, you got Rippling, you've got so many different ones out here. Who are you going to use? And specifically, ones geared towards small businesses. How many employees do you intend to hire? 1, 2. Are you going to have a job description? How are you going to screen for these employees? What's your interviewing process? What benefits are you going to offer? Do you need to offer benefits? Certain states say you don't need to offer if you only have XYZ amount of employees. But once you hit a certain level or number of employees, you now need to provide certain things. Are you going to have an employee handbook? And what kind of training are you going to do for your employees? These are the things that are so key. And then you definitely need a labor attorney. And the reason why I am adding this, because a lot of people go, oh, I'm not going to have employees. You don't know what your business is going to do. And you want to make sure that you think about potential growth. Even if right now I am not going to grow my business, I'm only going to do this, and this is how I want it, and I'm going to streamline it. I said that. I said it about one of my businesses. I was just selling soap, and soap turned into shea butter, and shea butter turned into jewelry. And now I'm doing all three. And it's grown. I hire interns from time to time to help me, because I don't really need to hire full-time or part-time employees. And as an intern, I can pay them a stipend. I do not have to have certain insurances and different things when that happens. There are different rules. So you want to really look at what that looks like. But guess what? I still have to manage my volunteers. I have to manage my interns when I do utilize them. So I have to have these things in place so that they understand the do's and don'ts of working for Empowering Greatness or working with Empowering Greatness. So it's very, very important. Handling expanding problems. So growth, this is where you include, like, if I grow, oh my God, the development of a profitable pilot operation, sources of finance, cash flow, incentive programs, benefits. Oh my God, I am scaling, I am growing. This is amazing. We are too big for ourselves. My business is booming. Describe your growth. Describe what that looks like. And then describe how you're going to handle problems. Describe different scenarios that could potentially come up, how you intend to respond to them. Even if you do not have employees, this section is very important because a part of your business, whether you like it or not, especially if you have a very good product or service, I don't care how much you try to streamline it unless you just don't do the business. And if that is the case, then you should not be doing business. I don't care if it takes you a year or if it takes you 5 years. There's going to come a time if your product is consistent and is of good quality, if your service is consistent and of good quality, that it is going to grow. It is going to scale. And you need to understand what you're going to do. You have to think about that. So section 13 of the business plan, this particular business plan, you may not want to think about it now because you're just getting started, but you want to have it there because, again, this is not a static document. It grows as you grow. So while some of these things I can see is like, oh, I don't really have to deal with that. I'm just starting out. It is here to let you realize that you're growing an actually real business. I don't care how small you think it is to you. It is going to be big to someone else. And the government wants their taxes, they want things set up, they want things looking a certain way. They're just different things that are happening, and you want to make sure that you're prepared for it all. The economy goes up and it goes down. How you plan to handle a 25% reduction in sales or new competition? Anything. How are you going to adjust your cash flow projection? Are you going to be able to do what you need to do off of lower expectations? Are you still going to be able to buy all your product and manage all of your marketing and all of these things? And the reason why Theresa and I thought it was very important to do these intensives and these workshops is because we want to get you thinking. You want to be a business person. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to create. Guess what? It does not matter whether it's on a really tiny scale, on a huge scale. These are the things that in some way, shape, fashion, or form will cross your mind. And you want to have it and begin to start documenting. The best business plan is one that grows with you. The best business plan is one where you have all of these things in it and you can't answer all the questions yet. That means that there is room for growth and there's room for advancement and there's room for improvement. 16A. These are just some different things that I wanted to highlight to make sure that if you're going to do a home-based business, that you're ready. So make sure you have a phone number. Do you have an email, smartphone, computer? Make sure you have your business license. Do you have that? The appropriate permits required for your business, if needed. A way to accept payments. Theresa talked about that. How are you going to invoice your customers for your product or service? That's part of your standard operating procedures. Making sure you have a way that your payments are automatic and or manual. Now they have QR codes that'll take you straight to a payment source. Are you going to use those? You have to be able to utilize things in a very concrete way, even for your home-based business. Do you need to file a fictitious business name? That's a DBA. Business tax license, make sure you have a separate bank account. Do you have one? Do you have a credit card to make payments for your business? Some people actually have, and some people do. So I add it there because it may be something you want to consider and think about. Are you going to use a separate mailing address for your business? Or are you going to use your home? They have things out here now called physical addresses. And you can literally buy a mailbox with a physical address, and all of your mail would go to this physical address mailbox. And it's not a real place. It's just they are businesses that have an address that people use for a business. Physicaladdress.com, you can Google that. You can get a business address in New York City at 99 Wall Street. And then you pick your suite. Suite 2004. New York, New York, 10005. Pay $20 a month and you have a business address for your business. And you don't have to give out your personal home address, even though it is a home-based business. That is allowed. Have you determined your pricing? Designated workspace. Just because you work at home and you have a home-based business, you still need to have a dedicated workspace, a space where it is only for work, or that you can corner section off depending on the type of work that you do. Because you need to be able to produce. You need to have a space where you can create and do the things that you do. Website, bookware, bookkeeping software, because you want to make sure that you're staying on top of your finances. Calendaring software. I mentioned Calendly. It's actually a very good product. Theresa uses it as well. Do you have a logo? Do you want a logo? You need a logo. You need something that's going to pop and allow people to know that it is your business. Do you have a partner? Do you have employees? Do you have a printer? Something as easy as a printer. Because if you're a service-based business, 9 times out of 10, you need a printer. And if you're a product-based business, you have labels and different things that you may want to do, you're going to need a printer. So these are just some of the things that you want to kind of think about. And remember, we talked a little bit about if you wanted to get a brick and mortar location. So I created this site location criteria where you can kind of create your own site model to be able to see what factors are really important for a particular business, to be able to look at potential strengths and weaknesses of location, and you'll be able to weight it. And you can do this process for each site that you go to. If you decide this is like the best spot for me to work this business, or is this a lot of things to look at. So you think about size, security, noise level, parking, access to transportation, overall condition of the premises, air conditioning, heating, public access, closeness to shipping vendors. How are you going to get your equipment and or your product that you need to create? Availability of skilled workers, especially if you're going to have a brick and mortar store, you're going to have somebody to work it besides you, or else you're going to really burn out in 2.2 seconds. You won't last. Do you have a space? Do you have to have meetings? Even the cafe owner has that one table that sits in the corner where they have their meetings. You have to look at ways, utility needs. How much do you have to pay in light and gas for the place that you're looking for, in addition to your rent? And other special needs as you see fit. So this is just here to give you some guidelines. If you ever get into a position where you are transitioning from home-based to brick and mortar, these are things and criteria that you want to evaluate as you're looking for your spot. And then I want to just kind of sum up, I call them 10 requirements for success. You have to have some level of industry experience and knowledge with what it is that you're doing. You cannot wake up one day and say, I want to be Superman, and you have no superhero experience. You have to have sufficient money to start your business. Period. I don't care if the minimum for you to start after you map everything out is $1,000. Then you need to have at least 2,000. You have to have sufficient money to start your business. You have to understand what it takes to do that. And we'll cover that more in the budgeting session that we do next. You got to understand your market and your customers, because you just can't go into a cold market and sell and think, oh, I got this. Know who you're marketing to. You're gearing your product and your service toward that market and those customers. Effective employee management. Whether it is a volunteer, an intern, a contractor, somebody who does anything for you, an actual full-time or part-time W-2 employee, you want to know how to effectively manage. Even if it's your sister coming to help you with your business, or your brother saying, I got you, tell me what to do. You still have to effectively manage that situation, because the end result will have an impact on your product or service. Make sure you have the right location for your business. If it is a home-based business, then you want to make sure that you are paying attention to how you're promoting that business online. Because if it's at home, and unless you're going to have people in and out of your home, then the right location for your home-based business is usually online. It's some level of e-commerce platform. You want to make sure that when they say right location and it's not a brick and mortar, meaning that there's access to it. SEO, search engine optimization is really key. Making sure your website looks a certain way that if somebody comes across it in a Google search or internet search, that they will want to stay on your page and click, that it's inviting. Proper pricing of your product or service. Take your time. Inventory document. How many little stickers does it, take to fill up this card that I'm selling with all these stickers on it? How much are the price of the stickers? I usually get them in bulk. $10. And I get 10,000 stickers for $10. How much is each sticker? And you begin to start pricing your product. And that's how you begin to really start honing things out. Maybe I'll do a class on that. I actually teach how to actually price your product and how to document inventory. It would be too much for this session here, but I got to tell you, one of the best things you could ever do, because it really allows you to see the numbers. It really allows you to be able to spotlight and shine what you need to spotlight and shine on, what it takes to actually make your product and how to up price so that you can turn a profit off of what you sell. Attention to competition and a plan to compete successfully. These are your teachers. Your competition teach you how to be better. They are your potential networking and collaborators. Because if you get the right competitor who's been doing it and is very strong and successful, and you go to them humbly, a lot of times they'll teach you something, because they're not concerned about you being competition. And they'll go, you know what, you do something a little different than I do. Here's what I did. See if that works for you. Because they understand that the more competition they have, the better they get as well. Sound budgeting with careful attention to cash flow. How often do you eat Uber Eats? What does your Starbucks bill look like? Dunkin' Donuts, whatever it is. We have to budget and watch our cash flow, because usually within the first 1 to 3 years, and in some cases 1 to 5 years, you are self-investing in your business until your business makes enough money to recycle and take care of itself, and until it's able to make a profit. So you have to budget carefully and pay attention to the cash flow, not only of the business, but of the personal. Understand that your new business offerings requires 24/7 attention, energy, and commitment. Remember, I said, do you have the wherewithal to do this? while I have a very healthy work-life balance, I still think about my business all the time. And I may not spend hours on end like I did in the beginning, but I touch some aspect of my business every day for at least 1 hour and 30 minutes. Daily. There are days when I take a break because I need a break. But I promise you, I am always thinking about my business. I'm always getting an idea. I'm always jotting something down. And I strategize on how to best make use of my time so that it's not all over the place. Careful management of all assets. That's your cash, that's your inventory, that's your receivables, that's your fixed assets. Pay attention to what is coming in, what is going out. Pay attention to your inventory. That is key. If you are a service and not a product-based business, then your service inventory is what you produce and you put out. So you have to pay attention to how many PowerPoint presentations you have for speaking engagements, how many speeches you have written, how many classes you have prepared to mentor and to work, how many workshops. That's your inventory. What do you have in place that's going to be able, that's an asset. What we're doing here tonight, this is an asset for me and Theresa. We're providing a service to you. But we have to document this as well, because guess what? You make money off of this. So we make money off of this, it goes into, and what do we have to do? We have to prepare all these presentations. That's our inventory. So you see how you can flip it between a service and a product? It really doesn't matter. These things still apply. I want to just say thank you to everybody who is listening to this, because you really are taking the time to learn something so powerful and to really put yourself in a position where you can really leverage some really great foundational tools for your forward movement and success. So that is the business plan section. And I will make sure that as part of the ending packets, that everybody who took this course gets a copy of the blueprint so that they can work on it at their pace. We are nearing the end of our presentation. How you doing, Theresa? You are muted. Hold on, you're muted.
I'm doing great. You did an awesome job.
Oh, thank you. And so did
deep.
you.
So deep, like deep. It's like, investor material. Like you want an investor, this is the way to go. Like if you're looking for investing or loans or whatever, but you went deep, but it's so necessary. And I jot down some notes myself. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do that or add that. So very great information.
Yeah, I love that. The more people that I come across and I realize that they don't take the time to write it down. It is so great to have these ideas in your head, but it really doesn't manifest until you begin to write it down, until you really begin to plan and strategize, until you start putting it all in a place and seeing how the puzzle comes together to complete the whole. And then you can start seeing where you're missing pieces at. And because once you have a whole piece, a whole puzzle put together, it's solid, it's strong.
Yeah. I love it.
But if it's got those holes in it, and this is what the business plan helps to do, it helps to eliminate a lot of those holes.
And it forces you to think
It forces
and
you to think.
plan.
Mhm.
Yes, and strategize. Like you said, like it
Absolutely.
forces you to answer these questions.
You have to answer these questions. And some of the questions may not come up right away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have it in front of you and you begin to think, and then it's like, wait a minute, let me go back and write that down now,
Yes.
because now it's presented itself. Now you begin to see how things manifest.
Mm-hmm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
starts with those very basic things, those very basic train of thought, because in building that out is really what, again, strengthens the foundation of what it is that you're going to push forward.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I even
Yeah.
like the part you talked about um competitors being collaborators.
That's what they are.
Yes, I love that. And
What's the
learning from
what's,
them also because
we
there's
learn.
something that you could learn from them.
Absolutely. Teresa, you and I do almost the same exact thing.
Hmm.
And when I talk to you, I learn so much from you.
Yeah, vice versa. Hmm.
That's the greatest competition you could have, is
Yeah.
to collaborate with someone who is of like mind and of like skill, and they do something slightly better. And it's like, you're an entrepreneur, you're a forever learner. You're always going to be
Hmm.
learning something different. It is just the way that it is. So you want to be around people that can give you a little bit more than what you got,
Yeah,
because it keeps you growing and it keeps you hungry and it keeps you moving.
it
And you
does.
learn to appreciate competitors, because they're really
Hmm.
not competitors. That's just something that they put forth, this capitalism and this economy at its finest.
Yeah,
It's enough money to go around for everybody.
it sure is.
You ain't never lie about that. And if you come with the right energy and the right attitude, then not only are you going to receive help, but you're going to be able to help somebody.
Right.
So I really, I appreciate that about not only working with you, but every other entrepreneur that I have come across. It's so important to understand that.
Yeah.
And as we talk about foundation and uh, this whole standard operating procedures and blueprints, um, like you said, when you build a building, you have to build it
Hmm.
on something sound.
Hmm.
When you're building a
Yes.
business, you have to build it on something sound. And if you don't have the pieces in place to make sure that that foundation is sound, then what are you building it on?
Hmm.
What is coming out of that?
Wow.
So I think that while every session has been very, very important, um, each session gets deeper into the journey. It gets
Yes.
deeper into what goes into this journey.
Hmm.
And I think what scares people is it's like, oh, it's so much. And Amazon didn't become Amazon by skipping these steps.
Mm-mm.
Apple didn't become Apple by skipping these steps.
Hmm.
Uh, Cat's Diner didn't become Cat's Diner by skipping these steps.
Hmm. Yeah.
McDonald's did not become McDonald's by skipping these steps.
Hmm. And you know what, too? When you said that, it reminds me that they didn't become that way by skipping steps, but they also didn't become that way overnight. And
No,
how we talked about not rushing
right.
and not cutting corners and doing what you're supposed to. And it may take a few years. Amazon didn't come that way in 5 years, and maybe even
Thank
10.
you.
Like he
Look,
started off by himself.
empowering greatness, it took 5 years for empowering greatness to really get off the ground running.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure it took Kingdom Legacy Partnerships a minute
Yes,
before it really got off the ground running.
yes.
But we kept going, we kept doing this process.
Hmm.
We had a vision that we passionately and joyfully just saw every day.
Yeah,
And we committed ourselves to fulfilling the mission of getting it going. And we figured it out through high, through low, through in and through out. And we never gave up, no matter what was
yes,
happening in life, because we knew this was something that we had a passion for and we wanted to do. And just by doing that, look, we've come leaps and bounds from where we first started.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
and in amazing ways. And not every successful business is seen on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to understand that as well.
Yes.
Not every successful business is seen on TV.
Yeah.
There's a multitude of successful entrepreneurs out here in this world doing amazing things.
Mm-hmm. I even know successful businesses that are not as visible.
Yes, me
But
too.
behind the scenes, they're
Very
successful.
behind the scenes. And they're just thriving.
Yes.
But they took their time and they started with this process.
Right.
The goal that Theresa and I have, and I think the names of our businesses say it all. I speak to empowerment. She speaks to legacy. We're trying to empower you to have the structure that you need to be able to provide a legacy, whatever that legacy is that you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And that's why it's such a good compliment when we could come and really give you these foundational tools. And each week we're going deeper and deeper.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's almost time to end.
Yes.
So next week, woo, I hope you guys are gearing up.
That's a deep
Next
one.
week, we are going to start talking about the money.
Mm.
Budgeting and finances, money on the journey, what that looks like.
Mm.
And I got stuff for y'all. I'm
Good.
really excited to do that next week for you guys. And like, wow, already. Next session is week 4.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, so 3 down, 3 to go.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting. So I am so happy that everybody came out again tonight. We really, really do appreciate you. And we just want to make sure. Oh my gosh. She said, thank you, ladies. My brain hurts right now, but in a good way. Oh, tonight's presentation is helping me to put the puzzle pieces together. The blueprint is a very important part of the journey. Yes, I got it. Yay!
Yes.
That's all we wanted you to do. If that was your takeaway, then we did our job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because when Theresa and I spoke earlier, we said, we're going to give them so much their brain is going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Actually wrote that in the comments. So I think we exceeded our goal.
Yeah.
So we thank you. If nobody has any more questions, 3, 2, 1. I am going to say good night to everyone.
Yes.
And we will see you next week, same time, same station. Good night.